Good afternoon, YouTube. This is your man all the way George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, this is another interview. I got a busy week. I got some interviews coming up, and this is the second one for this week. I feel like June's gonna be a busy time for me. I think because competitions are wearing up, competitors want to jump on and maybe share their stories of their plans. So here we have a lovely lady from the country of Canada. As you know, I'm a big fan of Canadian bodybuilders. I've interviewed quite a few ladies, and some ladies that she knows I have interviewed in the past. So we have here the lovely Mrs. Arbe Myhre, and she competed a while back at the Van Island, Vancouver Island Showdown. It's one of the few shows where exclusively just for the pro division, just mostly the ladies. It's not that many shows that give the women the opportunity to have their own stage. They don't share it with the guys. But she turned pro last year, and she made her debut at Vancouver. So we're going to talk to her about how she got into bodybuilding, what are her plans for this season. See things going on. So, ma'am, this is a question I like to ask you, lovely ladies who get into sport. What got you started in sport, as I call it, muscle and masculinity? Please share.
Well, I've always been an athlete. And when I was coming up to 40, I had said to my husband, I still want to remain fit, but running and those sorts of things were starting to take their impact. And he's always trained in the gym. And he was like, oh, we could start to weight train. And I really fell in love with it. And then I saw women who were obviously already engaged in competing. I was unaware of that as a sport. And given my competitive nature, I thought, oh, that seems really interesting. And so the journey began. So that's kind of what brought me into it.
And what's your husband's name? How long y'all have been together?
So my husband's Warren Myhre. We've been together for the last 10 years.
That's special. 10 years. My parents were together for 55, but the problem was my dad was living up in New Jersey for 30 of it, and we were still down here in North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
That's good.
distance.
Yeah, it's a distance, But like I said, he got you into it. And what was that like feeling for you that first time you started competing? Get on the stage, you're on there, you're partially naked, you're on the hot lights. What was that feeling for you first time competing?
It's obviously quite a bit different standing on a stage with very little on than it is, playing sports. But I do kind of still call it my sports bubble because you have a mindset of, you're trying to set up yourself for posing and remembering the mandatories. And again, being so new into the sport, I had a lot to still learn. So when I had my first competition, I competed in figure, and that would have been in 2017.
Yeah, and your figure is one of the divisions. I think some ladies who start off, they say, okay, they do bikini, and then do it figure, and then eventually go into women's physique, and some even go as far as women's bodybuilding. It's about the process about as a development as an athlete, and also that you're much taller than the average competitor. I know I watched your interview a while back with man David Bryant. David's a really cool guy. He does content on women's bodybuilding. He's shooting over to Omaha, and I wish him best of luck. And you are 6 feet tall.
I'm 6'1",
Six
and
one.
so, yep, it's probably a little bit longer of a journey to fill out a taller frame, which has taken me those amount of years. Because I think the first time I stepped on stage, and I apologize for the sirens, it's a busy
That's
area
all
that I
right,
work
right?
in.
It's
Um,
life.
it is. Anyways, when I first competed, I was around 145 pounds, and the last competition, I actually was on stage at about 205. So that gives a bit of perspective of how much size I've had to add over the years to be able to be competitive within the physique division.
Because I interviewed a lady a while back. She's competing also this weekend. She's competing at the Toronto Super Show. Angela Noy, she's like about 5'10", 5'11". And I remember back in the day, there was a bodybuilder by the name of Nicole Bass. And she was, I think, 6'2". She was one of the tallest women in professional bodybuilder, at one point. She was an Olympian, and she was, after that, when she retired bodybuilding, she started wrestling, and also she was a stand-up comedian. She passed away about 10 years ago. And it's one of the things about the taller women. It's a lot harder for y'all to put on that muscle because your limbs and everything's more longer, and then your body's. I think I think your metabolism is a lot faster compared to shorter competitors who can just pack on muscle. If you look at some of the girls who were like the lady who one lady that you competed at Van Isles, it was Mariana Van Getke. I've interviewed Mariana. She's from Chile, and she just has that I think she has the look that's really more typical you want to see in women's physique compared to the other divisions.
I tend to agree, and again, I think that it's just a game of illusions, right? So standing next to women such as that and like Maria, when they're quite a bit shorter, like there's 100 pounds between myself and those women. But again, their muscle bellies look bigger and rounder because they have shorter limbs to have to fill out, and it's just, and it's more typical for women to be shorter.
Yeah. Well, like since that, like I said, yeah, it's typical. Women, like I think the average competitor is like somewhere between 5'4" to 5'3". Now, there's some women who are shorter, like good examples like Michaela Aycock. She's 4'11". She's really short, and she puts on muscle like she's a dynamo. But it's just like I said, the women's body is different compared to men. It's just how we develop, how we process, and how we grow as athletes.
It's a different process, and again, I think even individually everybody kind of does things differently. We have harder to grow areas, we have things that really respond, and too, you had originally touched on it, the metabolism piece. Like, I eat a lot of food, but I have a very fast metabolism. I've never really dieted before competing in bodybuilding, and so nothing's kind of playing against me in that way. I can eat a lot of food. It doesn't I don't become overweight, and but putting on size, and I'm eating as a full-time job.
Yeah, I mean that's the one point people. This is the one people understand about bodybuilding. It's not just here's the thing. Always about the big serious issue is always steroids, but it's only a small factor to bodybuilding. It's not the whole kit and caboodle of it. You have to follow your diet, exercise plans, rest, recovery. There's so much to this that people got to understand. Is every day people just thinking if I shoot this stuff or take this pill, I can get that. But no, sometimes genetics is also a factor.
Yeah.
If you have good genes, you can build muscle or you can grow and develop. It's just how you evolve as a competitor.
And I agree. And so I think that's, also the challenge is finding coaches that know how to approach those individual aspects. And there's just not a one size fits all to the sport. There's so many different contributing factors. And a lot of people have jobs outside of the bodybuilding because it's not an industry that's super lucrative. And so making a living on that solely can be very challenging. And so, plus family commitments and life, it's just there's a lot of things that come into play.
Yeah, you mentioned family commitments. So it's just I know it's you and your husband. You have kids. How many kids you have?
We have five.
Ooh, my mom had to raise six. She had seven, but she had to
Oh,
raise six plus two grandkids. I tell
that's a
you.
lot. That's a commitment.
Yeah. And what's the ages ranges in it's like
So the oldest is 26. The majority of our kids are young adults, and the youngest is 15. But what makes that a little bit more challenging is my youngest also has special needs, and so things
oh
are a little bit more complicated and a little less traditional when it comes to the things that we address with him.
yeah, I understand that because me and my mom would take care of my nephew, my brother's youngest son. He was autistic, and it's a lot to take care of a child with special needs. I mean, especially you know, always there's times you have to make a lot of sacrifices for him, and and at the same time you're in a sport where you have to make sacrifices for your family, like the time and money you put into the sport. Like I said, for you women, I keep saying this, it's more expensive for you to compete compared to the men. If you look at the men, I keep saying this, all you got to wear a pair of banana hammocks and board shorts. While you ladies, you have to get your hair done, your nails done, your makeup, tanning, jewelry. Everything evolves in it. And that's also you got to remember also the cost of your food and your coach and you shows you because you live in Vancouver. It was easy for you to do the Vancouver Isle show because it's not too much out of your way. But then there's competitions that are overseas in America. I think it's only like technically there's some shows. You count the Toronto Super Show. There's the Van Isle Show. There was the Vancouver Pro did had Physique, but they dropped it about a couple years ago. We have somebody that's popped in here. This is my man Curtis L. Jordan Jr. And he says, "I have to say, you look marvelous. Your husband is lucky to have you because older makes you uh, whatever he's saying, us say, some of these guys, I don't know, they need to work on their spelling, check spell also. So, and I mentioned that it's not lucrative for pretty much unless you hit to the upsilon area where you get sponsorship, which helps you cover your costs. So like I know, I talked to some ladies like some ladies are competing right now. There's one lady I know, her name is Tracy. She's making her pro debut this weekend at Toronto, and she has a sponsor to sponsor her show. Another lady I know I interviewed also. She's doing she's making her pro debut in Omaha, and it's her sponsors are paying for that. And are you sponsored or everything's on you?
So I do have a suit sponsor, Starfit Bikini. So she's um, kindly taken me on. I actually wore her last year when I competed in Pittsburgh and won my pro card. Um, and when I approached her, she was happy to do that for me this year. I also have so I'm going to compete again later this year, and I do have a sponsor helping absorb some of those costs as well.
That's good because that helps you out. Because you know what, some ladies, especially in this sport, there's as you know, my stuff. Most of the guys who follow me are. This is the truth of it. That's what they are. I know I'm one of them. Much of her smoke, and this is really a big fetish about women in bodybuilding. Also, fetish about the men. I think they get a little more because there's a come soft factor to men's bodybuilding. But for some ladies, what they do to try to circumvent costs, they do a lot of stuff on the internet. You have OnlyFans, there's her biceps. Also, there's other sites that dedicate to recognizing women in bodybuilding, more of a fetish thing. But I don't know if it's something you want to do personally because you got kids. I know your husband probably won't want you to do it. I know it's just as I call them. They excuse my language, ma'am. They're the beat the meat websites. That's what they are. We all know that. You'll go on there and just watch this. I just watch this kid chicken in a bathing suit and just you just sometimes just chilling. But I digress. Here we got a comment from my man Curtis. He says, I'm sorry, the rest that I wrote was older makes us gorgeous. Thank you, Curtis. So, like you said, you're planning on doing another show. So, are you? What show are you planning on doing? Or you feel like you want to keep it close to the vest?
I'm planning on doing the Legion in September
Mhm. That's in Nevada, and that's one of the.
in
I
Reno.
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
and
it's not far. Well, in terms of travel for us because we are on the West Coast, so
mhm.
it's
Yeah, that's
relatively easy to get to.
yeah, because I know I do some when I talk to some ladies, especially the ones that live in the West Coast. There's not a lot of opportunities, especially for women's bodybuilding, and maybe not as many for women's physique. Most shows are kind of spread around. You have good amount of shows here on the West, like the New York Pro, but New York still you're still on the West Coast, so and then there's New York Pro, there's the Pittsburgh, there's Tampa, there's Chicago. Those shows are maybe a little bit out of your way, but that shows like the Legion Sports Fest, and also there's the Arizona Pro, which is
Yeah.
right in the same week as the Rising Phoenix. So, folks, what we're gonna do here while we're talking with Arbe, we're gonna jump into social media for a bit, look at some pictures and stuff like that. And, you want to check her out. If you want to follow her, her social media links are in the description of this live stream in my YouTube channel. You can check her out. But guys, and this is I gotta tell this Arbe because if I don't tell these guys, um, guys, this is a lady. She has kids. She has a husband. No D pics. Stop it. Stop it. I know these ladies get you excited, but come on, have a little more common sense. So, yeah. So we're gonna jump in here to her IG for a little bit, and a lot of people, IG is very popular for a lot of competitors. It's I think I used to know some ladies would be on Facebook a lot. Now this is here where you with Maria, y'all posing, and she's like, I saw her, just she's so tiny and you're so tall.
She's well, because Maria's 4'8", and she
Yeah, I
likes
know.
to call us the polar opposites. So she's short, but she's super outgoing. I tend to be a lot more shy and reserved, so I kind of keep to myself. Uh, but she's so energetic. She's so amazing, and she's been really helpful. And so I really appreciate her friendship.
Yeah, I basically like it's call it little big hoss and little flossy.
Yeah.
And this is a picture from you with training, and you have a lot of tattoos.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I know. This sometimes I ask, like, do you feel like we have so many tattoos? Do you feel like they penalize you for that, especially for judges? Because sometimes you want to look at the detail of the muscle, and sometimes depending where the tattoos are at, sometimes it can take
So,
away.
and I
Yeah.
and I think too it depends where you're talking about tattoos. So the majority of my work tends to be on my arms. So like major muscle groups, like I small on my shoulder, but nothing like physique per se in terms of like my back, legs, or glutes.
Hello. We're having some technical difficulties. I think. Wait a minute. Hello.
Hello,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, you're going in and out for a bit. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and here's one of the suits from your suit maker. It's
Yeah,
nice. Yeah. That thing is a suit is expensive. The cost of
they are expensive.
yeah. I
And she
know
does
somebody.
such beautiful work. And what I like about her suit is the top part's a little bit more of a European kind of um, fit, and so I really like it. I think it's very complimentary to my figure.
Uh-huh. And here it is. You're doing a workout. When you're working out, what's your least and favorite workout during the day?
So that's fair. I love to train legs and shoulders. Those are absolutely my passion pieces. I have not always liked back, but I would say I'm really strong with back. So, as much as it's not one of my favorites to train, in terms of strength and ability, it's something I've really worked on. Maria made me do chest yesterday, which I have to say is probably not one of my favorites. And so, if I discussion, it was more like this is what we were doing.
Yeah, I know you're. I'm gonna say this, Arby. You're a freak. No one says they like legs. I have maybe
I love legs.
you're the fifth IFB pro level competitor that says they love legs. You are a mutant.
Well,
You're the one especially you got long legs like you got. I think that'd be the last thing you want to train.
no, well, and if you look at my competition pictures, one of the things that people comment on often is my legs because they're very developed. They get super shredded. So you can see the work. You can see the fact that I really enjoy it.
Yeah, because here it is with you and Mariana and also Julia. I think I forgot her last name. Y'all were only three competitors at that show. Last year I think it was like seven competitors, maybe six. But I think one thing is it's hard to get to the Vancouver compared to just going to like maybe Toronto, which is I
Yeah,
remember I know.
I think we had a slow start to our season. So it wasn't just Victoria that had a few competitors. The first few shows of the year for women's physique had very similar turnouts. So it's not a matter of just one show. Like that was something that people were really commenting on. And I think a lot of the promoters were really questioning too of why are we having so few physique women showing up this year?
Well, one thing is the cost of traveling, and now another example is that the point systems are gone. So there's no incentive for anybody to compete at a show where if you go do a show and the winner you win and that's it, and then you have to try to do another show and see if you can win, and if you don't win, you walk away with nothing. So what's the
Yeah.
incentive to do a show where if you think about it, if you get two second or third, you get second or third at one show and turn around and do another show and you get enough points where hey, I'm qualified for the Olympia. And they use
Yeah.
that excuse there because they got rid points because there was so many competitors. But you think about it, it's not really from the other divisions, mostly from bikini, wellness, and also men's classic. They have more promoter shows, or more promoters have their division than you have physique women's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's we're going through here pictures. It's nice. And here's you with your husband. Yeah, yeah, that's so sweet. Y'all just together. Was this a honeymoon or y'all on vacation?
Nope, we were visiting Montreal, which of course is another place in Canada, and so you can see that European whatever feel to it. But that was pre-pandemic, so that was maybe 2018.
Yeah, yeah. The pandemic with it. And here's your hubby right here working out, and I would say he's a strong man. That's heavyweight. Even I, one of my best days, I probably wouldn't be able to pick that much up.
And
You
I
know,
can't say that was even his heavy set. That was, he's had to kind of come along on the journey. He's not a fan of being taped in the gym, but he understands that it's really important for us to have, well, for me to have an online presence, and so he's an accepting participant.
yeah, because I think that's what, especially with how bodybuilding is now. It used to be when I was remember when I was coming up, bodybuilding used to be on television and also like networks like ESPN, Fox Sports. But in the last few years, they really have pushed out. You can't find it too much unless you go online
Right.
or YouTube because I'm on YouTube quite a bit. And a lot of these ladies, that's the way to get the attention because this is how you get your fan base growing. People follow you on your workouts and your training. Here we have a special guest here, and this is the lovely Mrs. Maria Queenie Lieberman. He says, "Aw, thank you, Arby. I love you. Aw,
I love you too,
aw."
Maria.
Usually we have a man, L. I'm not gonna say his name because I know it's pronounced. It's a beautiful girl. It's from man Stefan Prey here. He says, uh, "Beautiful and awesome." Now, um, also, who's your coach and who you working with right now besides
So
Maria?
yeah, Tim Thompson is my coach. He's been my coach pre pro card, and he's out of Tampa, so he's definitely in the states. He did come out for my pro debut from Tampa, and he will also be at the Legion with me.
That's good. That's good. You have your support. And coaches. That's one thing is that we talked about earlier. How you can't, cookie cut a plan for all competitors. It has to fit. Especially with women, you are different compared to men. Biology is different. Body builds are different. I mean, what you cook, what plan you have for a guy, maybe in men's physique, you can't do it for women's physique. And same thing with women's bodybuilding, or even figure or men's classic. It's just you have to work with somebody, especially with a woman. You have to understand how their body works. That's why I think some of the best guys that work with women are like guys like Sherry Starnes, Nasir, and also a couple others. Some guys just that's why some women say they want to jump from. You complain about jumping from one coach to another, but when you find that right coach, he understands how you grow and how you develop. That's a good relationship.
And it becomes one of those intimate relationships because you have to force yourself to talk about pretty much everything, your food, how things are going, in life, because stress, as we know, can negatively impact, not only our development, but it can also affect our conditioning and things we're not always aware of. And so really being able to keep your coach in the loop in a way that, allows them to make the adjustments to bring us in at our best.
hmm That's good because it's good to have a good relationship. We understand each other, and he's there to support you. He was there for your pro debut. He was there for your, when you get your pro car. He was there when you. Now he's gonna be there for your next show, and and also your family. Like when you started getting into it, what was your kids and your family members were talking about? Like especially your older kids say, "Mom, you gotta be in the bikini, and my friends gonna see it." Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know,
So four out of our five kids are boys. Uh, I think I hear a lot of "Wow, your mom is so jacked." And if nothing else, I get asked a lot by the kids, and their friends, and I've trained with their friends too. Give us some advice in terms of like development in the gym. And so I really end up being more that person for a lot of the kids and their friends and whatever else of like if we were to start, in the gym, what would you suggest? And so, yes. And the kids, they've always been really supportive. My daughter comes with me. She does my stage makeup because, that's her passion piece, and she's very talented. So even if they're not necessarily all invested in terms of their own fitness progress, they're really invested in, supporting me along my journey.
That's good that your daughter helps you with that because you know what, that's something that saves a few bucks right there because you know the cost of makeup. You got your own in-home cosmetologist and beautician.
Yes.
Hey, I think there's a lady who's a friend of mine. She studied to get her cosmetology license. I tell her, hey, she used to be a bodybuilder. She used to compete. I tell her, once you get that license, you should, get a work in a salon for a bit, and then go to shows and offer your services. She does pretty good work because I remember I seen a picture of her, which is doing some makeup for a girl that was competing. And yeah, that's good that you have to support your family because sometimes people don't understand a lot about this sport because there's so much to it. It's not like it's not as simple as like basketball, football, tennis, those sports, very more mainstream because this is such a strange sport, and especially the whole mindset about building muscle. Because the idea of women with muscles is not very feminine to the everyday person.
And that's fair, but my kids have always known me to be an athlete, so I would say that I probably challenged those boundaries and have long before I stepped in a gym in regards to, fitness and what it is to be a woman. And yes, I would say that I challenge most of the boundaries, whether it's professionally or personally or, fitness wise. It's, I want everybody to feel that they have choices and be unique and just be themselves. So that would definitely be what the version that the kids would know of me. So it wouldn't be a disconnect for them to see me do something like that.
Yeah, that's the thing about that you have that support in your family. Sometimes there'll be tough days, but this is what I learned. This is from my other guy. He tells me that sometimes what doesn't make you stranger makes you stronger. I'm so sorry about him. He's just, he just pops every now and then, so you gotta be careful. Yeah, and it's all like people's, especially when people see women with muscle, they just, the everyday, Tom, Dick, and Harry say like, wow, this chick's like she's already a giant and she got all these muscles. I mean, what's we gotta do, man? Like, what you want to be Schwarzenegger or something? Yeah. It's usually from people who don't even have the temperament or the dedication to do what you men and women do. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how it is sometimes.
And but I think that also speaks to exposure. I know that most people I know are also really active within the gym. And so, men or women, everybody's really invested in watching everybody be successful. And so, I haven't really, even as a woman, experienced that much judgment. Um, Most people are very invested in my success. So, where are you at, how many weeks out you are, even some of the people that I train with. So, it's hard. You get to a certain development piece where I have found it more challenging to find training partners because of the level of strength that I have. And so finding somebody who can kind of push me in the gym has been an ever evolving door. My husband hurt himself a few years ago, so he does more pump types of workouts at this stage. So we don't tend to train together anymore. And so a couple of my friends have stepped in to be that support, and also to be present in the gym of we can do this, and let's see how hard we can go. And so that would be more of the people I'm surrounded by, is always people who are quite supportive and positive.
Well, it's good that this is I saw this picture, and this is some ladies that you are surrounded with. A couple of ladies I've interviewed. Right here, you have Tanya Chartrand, who I interviewed a while back, Maria, and also you have here. I have not interviewed her yet, Jennifer Reese, and this is like I say a triumph of women. In you have a figure competitor and three physique competitors,
Yep.
and it's good that you women have this common bond because you understand the process as athletes, the time you put into. I mean, last time I saw, Tanya had some medical issues she was taking care of, and I know um, Jennifer, she competed at the Masters of Olympia just last year. So also with the Leisure Sports Show, it's also opens and masters. And there's a lot of competitors now in the last few years in bodybuilding. I've interviewed a lady who was 61 years old and got into bodybuilding at 55. I just interviewed a lady yesterday who was 50. I'm going to be 50 in November. And just that with you women now bodybuilding has really expanded over the years, but also the divisions, if you look at it now, are starting to meld a little bit. In like you've seen there was a debate about how if you look at the New York Pro, how Sharaka Hinton, who's been a multiple time Olympic competitor, she had the classic look. Then you look at a show like St. Louis Pro, a lady who I interviewed also, I like to drop names because that's how good I am. Marika Jones, she has the look that's more, I would say, close to women's bodybuilding than it is to women's physique.
And I think that's, one of the things that most of us experience. So a lot of women I know are always the feedback that they receive: get bigger, put on more muscle, get bigger, put on more muscle. Now, some of the feedback I received after my last show is, you're too big. I never thought I'd get to that place where people were saying that to me, because I'm like, interesting, interesting. But I do think that, it does create a little bit more of that confusion for both coaches and competitors of where is the line, what is the look that you're actually looking for, and it changes from show to show, and we all see that it changes from show to show. And you have to feel comfortable, I think, with beating yourself first and foremost, and establishing what goals it is that you're looking to meet, and then just bringing your best package. Whatever's going to be from that point forward is going to be, and you have to feel confident in your ability to be able to execute on that. Like, you can only control what you can control in this sport.
Yeah, okay. And also like something you're not competing against other competitors, you're competing with yourself. Because you
Yeah.
get in that stage, you have to see what you're gonna bring. And the judges, they have critiques. And yeah, it's fun. I even have heard I did interview some women in figure saying like the judges say want you more size, more lat. But it's supposed to be division, it's supposed to be like kind of like almost like bikini girls with a little bit more muscle. But you're
Yep.
getting the fact that like, some of the women now are getting closer to physique, and the women in physique getting close to women's bodybuilding, and they don't set the
Yeah.
criteria. They always set the criteria for the other divisions, like men's open, the classic, and also even bikini and wellness. They get set criteria, but they don't even say, you know what, we this is why we brought in physique, because here I wasn't a big fan of physique division. I called it watered down women's bodybuilding. And I saw how the
Oh,
IFBB have this is one of my favorite quotes: how the IFBB walk quiet behind women's bodybuilding, stabbing in the hearts. But even now, physique's getting that same look. As you know, if you heard a while back, Jack Tatone, who promotes in the Midwest, he decided to, because there was only 5 competitors at the St. Louis show, he decided to drop the women's physique from his show.
yep.
And he did this a couple years ago when he dropped women's bodybuilding from the Omaha Pro because there were only 2 competitors. And he said that if there wasn't enough competitors for Omaha, he was going to drop women's physique and replace it with another division. And like I said, even you in women's physique is getting that same stink eye, just like women's bodybuilding.
It's very difficult, and I think women spend a lot of time investing in gaining that size, and then to show up to, thinking that you've hit the mark and not to hit the mark, it can be really disappointing.
Yeah, because that's a lot of time and money you put into this, and it should be worthwhile opportunities. I mean, we all know the guys are going to get more money and more opportunities because compared to the women, because they get most of the attention. If you look at some of the Olympia, the top 10 competitors in the men's open, they still get money. While it's not the top 5, and you see the guy walks away with nearly almost $1 million, where you get maybe $50,000, and you got to think about it. If somebody shows put up some good prize money, be worth the time, because like I said again, this
Yeah.
is a business sport for you ladies to do. Here we
Yeah.
got a comment from my man Davis Adams. It says, "Hey everybody, hey George, hey Arby, thank you brother for coming through." Now you're at work right now, right?
I am at work right now.
What do you do for a living? What's your job? Share with us.
I'm an executive director of a nonprofit.
hmm And with Pro Profits is helping people, with things like what's the most what you do exactly as the nonprofit.
Yep. So at the nonprofit that I run, we do social housing and community living, which would be for persons with disabilities, and mental health. And so we do a variety of things within multiple communities: housing, assisted living registry, which is under our mental health department. We do drug and alcohol counseling. So we do a variety of services. I think we have about 23 programs in total.
And that's a lot of programs. That's like helping people with disabilities, people recovering from stuff like alcoholism, drug addiction. I mean, you know, it's just that's good work, because some people there's so much they can't do on their own, and charity starts from the home. And do you love your job? Do you love what you do? You feel like you're making a difference in doing this charity work?
So I've worked in charity work for over 25 years. What brought me in was that I wanted to make a difference, not only in my community, but, for people who are really marginalized. And when I was working on my undergrad, I had the opportunity to do my practicum at a psychiatric hospital. And I really saw a predominant need, but felt really strongly about the community setting. I found it really difficult to be in an institutional setting, and so that kind of established my path from that point forward. And so I've done a variety of different things over time. My biggest part is housing, so a lot of harm reduction, working with individuals who are engaged in active drug use, predominant mental health concerns, usually having faced long periods of homelessness. So it's definitely rewarding, but it's also quite challenging.
Yeah, because it's challenging trying to do good things for people, and sometimes people got to be wanting to take the opportunity at this, but sometimes people will take advantage of it, and you got to be careful. Is this like a selection process you go through for when you pick some people?
So we do things quite a bit different in Canada than things are done in the States. Our funders are government run, but there are systems and processes. So only the mental health, drug and alcohol counseling is self-referral. Everything else, there are tables that are established, and so it's more of a committee selection to establish, any sort of placement in social housing programs through Community Living BC. That would be again a vetting process through the funder, which is CLBC, to agencies that potentially have any open spots. So it's not a straight line for sure. It's not a straight line.
Yeah, because like I know my family, my mother and father after they broke up, we lived on welfare. We still lived on welfare for a good while, and then when we decided to move, we moved into a housing complex. I've been living here for almost 30 years with me and my mom, and really how I got into this whole thing with bodybuilding was I was a fan of bodybuilding for a long time, and just a fan of you ladies because y'all don't get enough attention. If you look at like there's only so few outlets that talk about exclusively about you ladies. But this is why I do this content. It give y'all a voice, and this is kind of like my purpose because I don't have, like I said, I took care of my mom. She passed about 4 years ago, and I don't really have anything but me now. I don't have no kids. I just got me, and this is why I, reach out to people like yourself and other ladies and Maria, and give them an opportunity to share their stories and give people a outlook of what it is to be a woman in a sport that's considered very masculine and muscular and all that other stuff. We have here a man, CS Racing Reports. Shout out to him coming through. He says the blurred lines of muscularity and femininity, beauty with judges and being invasive had been the problem with making bodybuilding mainstream. Says see part two. I say part two is here. He says this. He says part two that invasive triggered NBC, ESPN, etc. to drop coverage, recap shows, and the alternative as to create multiple divisions, which is fine. And he has part three, so you probably put that up later. So after what was that feeling when you officially became an IFBB pro?
So it was, of course, exciting. When I first had a conversation with Tim, who's my coach, Tim Thompson, he was so definitive of it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so, certainly that's kind of what was in my mind. He says that people have to be a real freak to challenge, me at that amateur level, which of course I still find interesting. I'm somewhat oblivious to my size and height at times. Um, So being in Pittsburgh, and being in front of judges who I've never been in front of, luckily I have dual citizenship, which allowed me to go compete in the States because as Canadians, we only have few options that we can do otherwise, which is the North Americans, the Arnolds, and
The amateur Olympians.
right, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
And so and that was not what I was aiming for. One of Tim's other clients, Amanda Snooks, helped me to navigate that because they make it somewhat difficult. So even the fact that I'm an American, because I live in Canada and whatever, it was a little bit more complicated to go do that process than I anticipated. Anyways, with her help, I was able to go do it, and yeah, it was a very so well run. Like it's such a big show and so well run, very well organized. Although I was quite intimidated by the amount of people who were there, overall, I would say to date, it was probably the best experience I've had competing.
You just
And
mentioned
not
Amanda
just because
Snook.
I had not just because I got my pro card, but it really the promoters were amazing. Like the whole thing was just executed flawlessly.
Yeah, because that's Gary. That's one of Gary Udy's shows. He's the king of Pittsburgh. Or actually, he's the prince of Pittsburgh. The king of Pittsburgh is Jim Mannion. Well, I think he's like a duke, if you want to say that. You go like the king is Jim Mannion, the prince is J.M., and the heir apparent is his son Tyler. And I would say uh, Gary's like one of the lords and or earls sitting on the council. But name just mentions a lady who I've become good friends with, the lovely Miss Amanda Snooks. She got her pro card at the North Americans. Me,
She
Amanda, we
got
met a
three
while.
pro cards at the North
Yes,
Americans.
yes, three. I forgot. Yeah, she was women's bodybuilding and also physique. And she's been struggling for a long time trying to get a pro card. I got to meet Amanda because we were Facebook friends for a long time, always talking back and forth. She came down here in North Carolina because a guy named I know named Glenn Young Senior. He opened up his new magazine called Amazon Fitness Magazine. She does some photo sessions with him, and she was there. Her and another lady I've become friends with, and it was great to see her. And I know Amanda said she's planning to make her debut next year, and I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what she's gonna bring. Here we got
Well,
here. I gotta get careful with this one. This is a guy. He's a fan, and his name is Balls Deep. He says this. He says, good afternoon, gorgeous. He says also. He says, Chicago in here as usual. He says, smash the like button. Thank you, Balls Deep. And it says, peace and blessings. And he also says, you know, he says this, he also says, how's your day, sweetie? And also we have here is I says, beautiful. So, that's, you got to cover balls. Sometimes he's a good day, he's a good guy. So, after the Vancouver Isle show, this is something I always have to ask, especially as food is an important part of the bodybuilders developing, and also it's both can be a weapon or a tool. So after the Van Isle show, what was that thing that you created? That thing that was calling that name, that thing that made you driven, that thing you wanted the most.
well, the one thing that I like the most is cookies. I call them after breakfast. I call them my breakfast dessert. So it's not a matter of just having one. I think I've had a cookie, like the big, huge monster cookies, every single day since I've competed, which of course is quite lovely. And, we did talk a little bit about the metabolism. I can eat a lot of food and it doesn't negatively impact me. I also would say that Tim doesn't really particularly deprive me in ways where I have ridiculous cravings because I do tend to eat quite a bit. He gives me these up days, which are, close to 8 or 9,000 calories on a Saturday, all the way through prep. So I'm constantly eating and I get to still, eat some of the things that I'm looking for, like burgers and we just got a crumble cookie in Vancouver, which is quite exciting. I had that for the first time in Pittsburgh. And so I've joked with Tim, how many crumble cookies am I going to be able to eat before now and prep begins?
Yeah, I think refeed is also an important part of prep because sometimes you cannot deny yourself certain like especially foods. Like food is good, but also it can be harmful depending on what you're eating. And I know
Yeah.
you still got your young one at the house. Everybody else is kind of grown. But I know sometimes you come home and say, "Hey, mom, what you got to eat?" I got some rice, some asparagus, and also some chicken. I'm not hungry, mom. Let's go ahead and get myself some McDonald's. So
No, no. So that's not the case in my house. There's lots of treats. There's chips. There's cookies. There's all sorts of. Just because I'm dieting does not mean that everybody around me suffers on any level. And because he's got special needs, I bring those things to him direct. I choose this sport. I choose the process, and as much as dieting can be a little bit just about discipline. I also think that everybody else should be able to still live life around me. And so I'm still social. My family still gets to eat normal stuff. We keep food in the house beyond chicken and rice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just that's good that you still keep those little things, and sometimes temptation is the thing about, especially when you're dieting. I know there's days where you get hangry because you got to think about it. You're on the stage, you're partially naked, you got light shining on you. You got tan. You want to sweat out your tan, and then you want your stomach's like we're not eating to be filled. We're just eating to be good to grow. And you have that metabolism that
Yeah.
kicks in and just you don't hold food as long. Like I'm a big dude, and sometimes I eat a little too much, but I try to be a little smaller now. I used to be almost 500 pounds, but I dropped a few pounds. I still need to work a little bit on it. I had a little setbacks. I got two bad knees at Stone Cold Steve Austin, and yeah, because it's arthritis, stuff like that, and years of working. There's a lot to this to lose weight and to gain muscle. Here we got my man CS Racing report. He's got part three. He says part three. However, the focus should be bodybuilding with the NPC shows as pro qualifiers and a masters division doing the same, and the selected masters winners getting invites to the Miss Olympia part. Say Olympia. Don't say the Miss Olympia whole. Also, he says part four. It says the bikini should be qualifiers if the athletes want to compete in a NPC qualifier. The idea is to funnel more money into bodybuilding to shows. Women can be Corey muscular, fit, and feminine. Talk about Corey Iverson. And also we have here from Maria. She says this. He says. Uh, Me and Arbe have insane high metabolism, but stay lean. Yeah, because you're short.
She is short,
You-
but you wouldn't know it. Once you get to be around Maria, you have an initial impression that she's just short, but she is a powerhouse. That one, and she's right.
that's
So she's on me every day. She's like, "I hope you're eating enough." She brings the mama vibe every day, and then she brings food for us for after we train. Like my 20-minute drive is too much for her. She's just like, "Nope, you need to eat something before you've left the gym with me."
yeah. Here she is. She's laughing at you. She's saying, hee
Because she knows
hee.
it's true.
It's good that you have support of her and your family and your friends, and, other family members that stand by you. Because I know I talk to some ladies that sometimes, it's again, people don't understand the sport. Friends are lost. You can't do like you used to do, like hang out, do that. You have to like, okay, like you got to go to bed like 9 o'clock, and because you got to get up and go train because you want to train before you go to work, and then your sessions you might have to do. How often you train during the week? What's your routine?
So I take Fridays off. I train every other day other than that. So I train after work. I'm not much of a morning person. I train mid morning on the weekends. So like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I always train after work. I like to have the food in me before I go. I'm not sure how, and more kudos to people who can do it. It's just not for me. I definitely need to have food to be able to go to the gym. So yeah, after I leave work today, I will head to the gym around 4 and it too gets me over the hump period. So when I am dieting, I find I'm hungriest between 4 and 6. So if I can extend that period of time till my next meal, it then allows me to have food before I go to bed and I'm not going to bed hungry.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. You want to go hungry because sometimes you get that. It keeps you. You want to fight the urge of like going to the kitchen and snacking. Yeah. Here we got
Anything you could
here.
do, yeah, to combat, the challenges, because that there's, there's challenges that come with this.
Yeah. Here we have here from a man's CS. It says, RB, like many, embody a mainstream look that has to be developed and should have been already been developed since the early days to break regimented stereotypes of what women should look like. Also, we have here my man KL the Wanderer. He also does content, and he's been on my live streams. It says, hello, KL. Thank you for coming through, brother. So, like I said, the plan is the Legion. Is there? You think you want to do another show? Because I think Legion's like maybe the last show for Olympic qualification. There's another show which is the I think Atlantic Coast Pro, which is in Miami. That's for next year. Or you think you want to go overseas and compete? Because I think there's the Remaining Muscle Fest. Also, there's the show Imperial is coming up. I think it's in 2 weeks from now. But maybe you think maybe next year you're gonna have plans to go take next year off and just rest and just lay back and grow.
I don't think I need to grow, so I I'm not sure. I tend to kind of stay in the moment, and we'll see how the Legion goes to be able to make the plans. I know my suit sponsor is like, come to Europe. They would love you here. Yes, I'm not sure. I will see how September goes, and I know Maria desperately wants us to go and do some traveling, so that will also. So Maria turns 50 in August. I know she won't mind me sharing. I turn 50 in January. We both keep talking about the big 50 and how we're going to celebrate that.
Yeah, my 5-0, I'm not gonna do shit. Because that just, birthdays to me, it was great when you were a kid, but then when you get closer, you just, oh my God, I'm getting older. I remember days where I can get up in the morning and do this and run about. I used to hold 3 jobs, no, 2 jobs at one point. I was working at night at a gas station when I was 16, and then I got my next job. I was working at a textile plant. That was 10 days, 10 hours a day, 4 days a week. I was off on Friday. I like that part. And then I had this other job later on. I used to work in a gentleman's club, and that was like from 7 o'clock to like 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But yeah, taking that time to, travel. Cause I wish I could travel more. I would like my first show I went to was Savannah Pro. And that was in because I live in North Carolina. I'm a little closer to Georgia, and I took a train and went there. It was a great moment. I met people, ladies I follow, so ladies I interviewed, and I was planning on maybe going to a show last year, but I get my car fixed. I just yeah, I got to get it out of the shop tomorrow. Help you guys finish with it, and I'm planning on. I have my oldest niece. She lives in Atlanta, and I'm thinking about going checking out the Linda Murray show in Atlanta. I can stay with her, and
Yep.
she'll come up here and she can pick me up, and I just save me the cost of a train and a motel, and just check out the show. Here we have here from man CS. Shout out to him. He says, what people don't understand and appreciate is the training promotes the same health and wellness as the popular sports RP. Yeah, because sports. There's like the thing about the steroids thing. There's a lot of it in mainstream sports. There was a whole thing. There was a congressional hearing like years ago with baseball and steroids. There was a boxer who just got busted for being on steroids. I do content on mixed martial arts and also combat sports, and that happens a lot. But bodybuilding always get that finger pointed at you because it's just because how you develop the muscle. But people, like I said, don't understand that it's only a small factor to the process. It's not about the whole thing. You got to understand what this is. It's a sport that gives you a healthy lifestyle. Because you're 50 years old. I wouldn't think you're 50. I think you may be in your early 40s. I wouldn't think Maria was 50. I thought she was maybe in her 30s. It's just I've seen ladies that I say, wow, you're that old. There's a lady right now. She's competing in Omaha from Russia, 55 years old, about to be 56 this year. I wouldn't think she was that old. I was thinking she's like 40.
Well, I think that says a lot about lifestyle and being active, and like you say, there's assumptions made about the sport in general. And it's really just about training hard, eating lots, getting rest, and being consistent. That's really what sets most of us apart from everybody else, is just the consistency piece of we stay at it. We go when we don't want to go. We go, when we're not feeling well. Like that's just the reality. Like that's what's happening to, take your physique to that next level.
Hmm. Yeah, and consistency is an important part about bodybuilding. You
Yeah.
have to go in, like I said, this day say, hey, it's raining. I'm thinking I'm going to go to the gym. Say, yeah, I got to go to the gym anyway. It's raining. It could be hell and high water, but you still go because the fact that you
Yeah.
want to reach that goal, especially step on the stage like, to get to the Olympia. That's the big, stage for a lot of bodybuilders. I mean, to be up there with some competitors who are top level. Like, is anybody other than Maria? Is anybody you admire in this sport who you follow that you're a fan of?
I admire lots of people for different reasons. Uh, One of the people that really drew me in was Rachel Daniels. Loved her posing. I think, again, a really um, talented competitor. Shanika Grant, loved her years and years ago. She has a really, um, interesting look to her. Um, I probably could pick qualities out of almost everybody who steps on stage where I'm like, oh, I really like that part to them, or like great charisma. Um, the woman, I'm sorry, you probably know who won the New York Pro.
Veronica Hinton.
Yeah, her posing. Wow, she was. I sent that to Maria. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is like great stage presence, great look to her overall. Her development piece, like, yeah, and so I definitely watch all of the competitions to kind of see the way that the trend is going for physique in general, who's being awarded, what that looks like. Shelby's client, the 56-year-old woman who you're talking about, I watched her last year too. She competed, I think, at the Romanias. But I also think she might have been a pro in another league, is what I'd heard. Anyways, yeah, it's hard to believe that she's in her 50s. Like, really, I think it empowers a lot of women to know that we're challenging what 50 used to look like.
Yeah, it's just just bring a certain look to it. And one lady who I'm a fan of, and you guys who follow me, you know who I'm talking about, is
Oh yes,
Andrea
Andrea.
Shaw. I mean, I think she just really gave a new life to women's bodybuilding. And she would. And this is another picture. This is my man. This is my homeboy, Big Keith. He's a pro, and he's with Andrea. I told him that's my girl. He has a wife. His wife's a beautiful lady. He has the hands of my girl. He seen that picture and say, "Hey, George, I got your girl." No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Arby. Okay, calm down. Okay, okay. I'm calm now. I'm calm. I'm good, folks. I'm good. I'm good. It's just I take Keith. Don't. All right. So we got here from. This is from your girl here. She says this. It says, um, you know, we will enjoy life after her show and travel. It was destiny when I met Arby at the gym. I came up to her and she and said, "You are jacked." Oh wow, yeah. Yeah. Also, this is a man, CS. He says this. Um, Continue. Arby is a prime example of what fitness can do for skin tone, which isn't seen often enough versus the stereotypes placed on bodybuilding. Also, this is for my man. Uh, KL, he says, George, you on your 50th birthday, go on a date with a bodybuilder, a woman bodybuilder. Yes, well, like I said, if they maybe, I'll probably be at home watching TV. Also, he says this. He has a question. He says, do you work at home and also besides the gym? So what's it like? You're at your office right now, but
Yeah.
I think during the pandemic, a lot of people did a lot of online and remote working, or was that fully? Because I know Canada was strict for y'all. Y'all were really like y'all were a
We
little
were
bit
closed
more.
down. Yeah, no, I am at the office. I, of course, being an executive director, have a lot of responsibilities that require me to be in person. I go home from here. I have a meal before I go to the gym, and my gym's so that's where Marie and I met. We started at a new gym which just opened in the Surrey area, Iron Nation, and she also decided to go there, and it's a great gym. It's definitely sets the tone. It's got a good culture to it. It definitely has some pros who have shown themselves. Tanya and Jennifer just showed up to do a trial. They wanted to see what the vibe was like. But we definitely have other pros that come to the gym. It's good to see, in competition season right now, everybody in various stages of, stage ready.
Yeah, because I think a lot of competitors will get ready more to close to the summer. Like used to be first of the year, the big show that was for competitors was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. The Arnold, it's a big show. I used to, and doing his content and learn about Arnold, he can't be a jerk. And he kicked out he kicked out women's bodybuilding, then physique and figure, and only just left is like fitness in the teenage division as well as the bikini.
Yep.
And and also the same thing, the travel costs, no point system. I think Jack Tatone offered a boost for competitors as an incentive. But that's one thing. If you want these competitors to come to the show, you got to get in the city because you got to remember, you're paying out of pocket. This is money you can use to your family or to this or that. It's like this is the thing about bodybuilding, especially for the professional level. There should be more incentive for y'all. Also, when you
Yes.
get that pro card, like a job. It could be like a job. Like these professional players, they have benefits. They have unions. Like my man Keith, he used to be in NFL. He played football for several years, and then he retires. He gets a pension. But when you leave bodybuilding, there's nothing really for you. You just get your pictures and trophies, but nothing really like a 401k or a retirement fund or something that you could use later on when you leave the sport. And that's why some ladies have to have a job or they do the OnlyFans, something like that, to circumvent for money to pay for the competitions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
Here we
it's
got
expensive.
Yeah. Here we got here from man CS. He says the cash flow has to be directed bodybuilding versus splitting divisions, 100 ways to create a championship that's easier to follow and to create the fan base. There's always been plenty of mainstream types. Yeah, I say that. Also, this is from she's picking on me. He says, George, crush big time Andrea. Yes, I know. And my man Dad is picking on me. He says, George, don't stop. Heal, heal. I thank you much. So, like, and also, yeah, this is from my man CS. He says this. He says, Arbe touched on posing, which is another selling point, with women typically having an edge in creative and with routines, with some having gymnastics, sports backgrounds. Yeah, like Ashley Jones, who competed in New York. She has gymnastic background. I
Yeah.
think it's quite a few. And we mentioned, Richard Daniels, aka as you know her online, the real Lois Lane. She does pose in terms. She even works with Kai Green, who's a good poser. And a lot of these ladies, you have to have a certain style to you. Especially,
Yeah.
you have to present both. You know, this is how I say it like this. You have to be both beauty and the beast when you're in bodybuilding. Yeah, you talk about you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because yeah. So, folks, we're not gonna hold her up too long. She has to get ready. She has to go to work. She got to work out with Maria. She has a busy day, and she's also planning competing at the Legion's Sports Fest in Reno, Nevada. That's in coming in, I think September, I believe. Yeah, September.
Yep, September
So
28th.
28. So yeah, I might check it out. I don't usually, like I said, mostly for me for a while, mostly my focus was mostly on women's bodybuilding. But doing content, I really have interviewed ladies in women's bodybuilding, physique, figure, fitness, even, and some ladies in bikini. Not the pro level bikini competitors. I had one pro level bikini competitor. She's a doctor, and she did mostly the masters. But most of a lot of ladies are more in the amateur league who are more open minded. The bikini girls, I think somebody said they kind of a little closed minded. Maybe not whoever you are, whatever you are, they don't want to talk to you. So I'm not worried about it. But talking to someone like you, who's a mom, who's married, who's doing this work and charity work and the work you do, I really respect that, and really appreciate the time you take to come here and sit and talk with me and the support you have with people like Maria and Jennifer and your husband and your kids. I mean, like I said, this sport is both mentally, physically, financially, emotionally draining. I mean, to get up on stage to present your body to people who are strangers who don't know you, and then to put in the work you put in, and sometimes not get as much out of it like you should. Here we got my man CS. He says, um, this from CS says, investors need to present with a contents package, and a pipeline to promote fitness products on these telecasts via the athletes and with agents, staff to more video, etc. He says, and also he says, um, does Arbe have sponsorship to go with her home, income? Yeah, she has sponsors. She mentioned she has a couple of sponsors. And this thing is, sometimes you get these guys. I hear Arbe says, "Hey, Arbe, you're a tall drink of water. I really like you. So if I do something for you, no, 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 we don't want that. We have
Thank you,
this." He says,
George.
"You're welcome. You don't have to thank me, but you just wish that says, Miss Myhre, I really like your personality. You're also how you develop as an athlete. Your story is really interesting. So if you're interested in our product and being sponsored by our company, we'd love to sponsor you. We have a plan for you, and we want nothing more for you to represent yourself in your sport and as an athlete. So if you like our plan and it goes good with what you want to do, you are welcome, as to our plan. So we interested, let us know, and we'll be fine with it. That's what you need. That's what you deserve, because it's going to be like this. That it's going to be certain divisions, like especially bikini and wellness, because it's more popular. It fits into the idea of what people want to see.
I agree. And it's interesting because I assure people just because this is a choice, meaning just because you're a woman in weight training, you're not going to turn to Maria and I right away. Like we've made the choice to be super jacked women, and again, it's because that aesthetic really speaks to us. And I think it really needs to be an inclusive sport. As much as I can appreciate, the sex appeal of other categories such as wellness and bikini. I think we should also appreciate the athleticism that goes into bodybuilding and physique as well.
Well, like I said, I'm not a big fan of, because with bikini, it's more. This is how I said this is once. I said it really wasn't as much part of the sport. It was brought in. I see it's like an invasive species. Even though it's, if you think about the history of bodybuilding, it kind of women's body kind of evolved from bikini, but they went to a higher level. And and divisions like wellness is it's a division that fits those women that have certain aesthetics, like they have the bigger hips, thicker thighs.
Yeah.
Those women who couldn't maybe do figure or physique or even bikini or even women's bodybuilding. But the sexy part about it is, hey, as a guy, and I'm in it again, as much smoke, you ladies in bodybuilding. I remember there's a saying that this guy told me a long time ago. I was on this it was a chat room for for bodybuilding fans, and he said, kid, there's an old saying. It's a small saying. It says, when you ladies rock hard, we'll rock hard. So, it's just something about y'all that excite us. There is sex appeal to y'all ladies. Maybe not the sex appeal of the everyday person, but it's still, we find you attractive. I think what it is, when you're on the stage, you're jacked, you're oiled up, you're shiny. I remember, this is a true story. This guy told me this story. He was traveling. He was a salesman. Every so often, when the shows start getting up, he starts, traveling around the time when he can catch the shows. So he was at a show one time. He was just chilling out, he was watching the show. I think it was the finals for the women's bodybuilding part, and he's just sitting there in the audience. He hears a noise. He don't know what it is, so he turns around and sees security guys pulling this guy from the back of the seat, and the guy has pants around his legs. They had to drag the guy out, and he's sitting like a couple of chairs away from one of the girls' training. Said, "I thought they banned that guy." I mean, and that's the thing is, there's a good side to it, and there's also the extreme side to it. And there's the people
Yeah.
that are haters who just say like, "This chick, she's too buff. Why does she want to have muscles? Why you're not a?" But you know what I say? You are doing this for you, nobody
Yeah.
else. And anybody don't like him, the best to quote my man Bernie Mac, fuck him. That's all it is. Fuck him against the wall with handcuffs to hands, crazy with their lips. We have here, this is from a man, Davis. He says this. He says, um, Super Jack women are awesome always. Thank you, Davis. Thank you. So, like I said, we're not going to hold too long, and we're going to have just a couple more questions here. So, what would you like out for yourself for the sport of body? What would you want to gain out of it as a whole?
I think I
Council
just
Hunt.
really like the challenge piece. How far can I, challenge my body, the changes that you can make? Like, I really appreciate, that challenge piece and being able to manipulate that. Like, you feel so empowered by that whole process. And so I kind of take that part of, I'm sure there's going to be a part where when I'm older and I'll look back on the pictures and think, wow, I did that.
Yeah, it's a challenge. The time you take in, the time you want, more time you spend with your kids and your husband, and the sacrifice you made, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally. You know, this sport, it's a sport's been around for a long time. And I think coming up is going to be the 60th anniversary for the Olympia. It's now back in Las Vegas, which is closer for you if you
Yeah.
want, maybe go there and check it out because it wasn't because during the pandemic you had to move it to Florida because Florida is a little more. Well, I won't call it open minded. Just didn't want to follow the restrictions that are put in because of the virus. But
Yeah.
like I said, this is about a process of an athlete. That's what you are. You are an athlete. You may not be the typical standard of athlete. The Olympics is coming up, and that's a sport where it's like really all the different sports. I mean, there was one time there was talk about bringing bodybuilding to the Olympics, but they didn't figure out how they can fit it in, especially there's not that many countries. But in the last few years, it's really has expanded, even though it's not as big a sport compared to the others, but it's really has expanded across the world as a sport. Yeah. So anyway, we appreciate the time she has given us. We're here, everyone from a man CS, and this is going to be it for him. He says, bikini is more like a Tropicanic beach contest with a bit of muscle. Bodybuilding is a higher level and underrated for being sexier. It's the traditional participation of bikini beauty that is handicap BB bodybuilding. So yeah. So we're gonna let her go because we don't hold too long. This is or you have anybody you want to shout out to while you're here, like so say thank you, whatever else.
I think I've thanked, definitely my coach and Maria and then my family. Of course, always at the end of the day, it's always on my family because they are probably, the most generous around the sacrifice piece and the acceptance of, the process and probably a little bit of crankiness towards the end that they get to, be subjected to on my end.
Yeah, you'll be saying, "Mom, you all right?" No, I'm not all right. I'm hungry. I went to that. Yeah, and say,
So
"Okay, Mom."
and
Here,
I'll
here.
share a cute story about that. So my son, who's on the spectrum, is very like black and white in terms of how he communicates, and he would be the first to say, "We all know there's a point where we just shouldn't talk."
Out of the words, out of the mouth of babes come the truth. That's how it is. Say,
Totally, and I
yeah,
appreciate the honesty and the statement of that's probably fair.
yeah. Because sometimes there's sometimes people say, we don't have a plan. Sometimes we just dogs. You just dog chasing the car. Once you get it, you never know what to do with it. So and I'm gonna say this for you, Abby, before I leave out. You are beautiful. I need to put him in a special place too. He needs to go somewhere. We got here. This is my man CS. He's just dropping some jewels. I gotta let this go on this one. Vascularity has been made more desirable with it as Arbe, along with others, have to better promote and pay. So yeah, you got to get paid because, like I said, bodybuilding is not lucrative.
Yeah.
The cost of the travel, the suits, food, everything else. If this was like a real sport where in which the like NPC IFBB pay for the competitors, because that thing is, we come to see y'all. We don't come to see the promoters, the judges, the sponsors. We come to see y'all, and I think this is where they should take care of the athletes. You should invest into your athletes. The money's there, but it just seemed like I don't know. But you know,
And I
we
think we need to always thank the fans because it is the fans at the end of the day that continue to like fund that sport and keep that interest alive.
Yeah. Well, we do appreciate the time you give us, ma'am. We wish you the best of luck in your next show. Like I said, you ladies, I gotta respect what y'all do. It's a lot to sport that people will never understand, and those that understand it should respect it. But like I said again, I hope you best of luck. This is a show. You never know. Depending on who's there, you might get your maybe qualification.
Thanks, George. I hope so. That is the plan.
Well, every time somebody say thanks to me, I say this. This is my favorite scene from a Dark Knight, from in the Batman Begins. when Jim Gordon says, I never got a chance to thank you, he says, you never have to. Because like I said, this is why I do this, to give y'all ladies the opportunity of voice to share with people to understand who you are. You're a woman, you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a friend, you are doing charity work, helping people that need the help. And I think you don't need to thank me. I'm just I said again, I keep saying this, I'm just a muscle person that's like buff chicks.
Well, I appreciate you.
All right, thank you, man. So, folks, I like to thank the people that were here. My man CS Racing Reports, also the lovely Mrs. Maria Lieberman, also my man KL the Wanderer, Balls D, Stephen Prey, all who was here. Curtis, you was here. Thank y'all for coming here and supporting us. If you want to follow, Arbe, her social media links is in the live of this video. Check it out. If you missed it, you can watch it again. But guys, she has kids. She got a man. No deep pics.
No foot pictures.
Nothing of that. None of that. Don't be that weird guy. Stop it. Get some help. Okay? You get more, and I keep saying this, you get more with a silk glove than an iron fist. And I know what you're doing with that iron fist. So anyway. So ma'am, thank you again. Wish you best of luck. And anytime you want to come back and just shoot the shit, you're welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. So, folks, this is your
Bye.
man always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Like, don't like, subscribe. I'm out. Have a good afternoon, good evening, and also good night.